Hello and welcome back. Sean here. Mountains Garage, the dusk edition, Saturday afternoon, mid-October 2023. And it's been an interesting day, aren't they all? Beautiful day though, beautiful fall day. Just nudged 60 degrees, blue skies, sunshine, a light breeze. It was nice. A few minutes ago, I guess I should start by asking you a question. How far are you willing to go? In this case, I had a broken bolt. I had to get out. Steel bolt in aluminum. 7/16, 14. Coarse thread. And it was sticking out of the aluminum maybe a quarter of an inch. So I buy unplated half-inch nuts. I use them on like LS exhaust manifolds. Everything else, they have a pretty decent hole in the middle so I can get lots of weld in there. And what typically happens in a situation like this, I mean, that bolt was not cross-threaded in, but it's been in there so long, it was stuck enough to break a 7/16 bolt. I didn't want to break the aluminum. I didn't even want to pull the threads out of it. So in the past, I've learned that if I go through a series of nuts, I weld the heck out of it. It's bright orange. I let it get kind of dull orange, and I go ahead with a ratchet and a socket and see if I can move it. First one, I twisted the bolt right off. Eventually, I was moving the bolt slightly, but not enough. And I know if I go through, it looks like I tried a lot. I did 8 times. That by the time I'm at least the 7th one or 8th one, I'm going to be flush. And from there, probably the bolt is soft enough to drill, or it's going to drill easier. So in this case, I had it moving pretty good on the 6th or 7th one. It would go a half a turn and then break off. And I'm breaking off the entire bolt. So there's nothing wrong with my weld. Every one of them broke off an entire bolt. So on the last one, I said, well, time to do something different. Before I have to drill, let's go ahead and weld the nut on and let it cool. And while it cools, I beat it with a hammer and sprayed it with penetrating oil. Let it get almost cool and hit it with the impact. And it came right out and did not even hurt the threads. So should I have done that right off the bat? I'm not sure, because enough heat had to get down in there to cause it to want to let go. So that's how far I was willing to go. I wasted 8 nuts, which I buy at the salvage store by the pound, so it's not so bad. I salvaged the piece. It's gonna be all right. My next dilemma today was I had a Saturday UPS delivery, which was awesome. I got hooked up to buy a pair of 17, 34, 5, 16 Hoosier drag slicks by an enabler friend of mine, lives in the Midwest. I forget the exact name of the screen name, but it's the back door at Summit Racing. I ordered a couple Mickey Thompsons the same way a few weeks ago, and they came out of Texas, I believe. This set came right out of Ohio. So 2 days. Problem is, the UPS truck gets here. There's only one tracking number. It's marked 1 of 1. I bought 2 tires. Now, that's a $700 tire right now. I paid $149, and it's only about a little over a year old. I don't know when or why they decided to get rid of them. There was a pair originally listed for like $199 on eBay, and price kept coming down, and I joked with him that when it hit $149, I couldn't pass them up. Now, the whole time, my entire life of drag racing, never, not once did I have a new pair of slicks. I always had a big tire car, and I would run, at the time, when I first built my first tube chassis car, a Pro Stock car, had a 16-33-15, I think. So that's what I bought. I actually bought them from Jerry Yeoman, I think. Used to be an IHRA Mountain Motor Pro Stock guy. And UPS right to my house. Probably paid more than I paid today or last week for these tires. But never once. I've told the story before, I would go to the national event New England Dragway or the divisional event and make friends with the guys at the tire truck, Goodyear, Hoosier, and Mickey Thompson. And by the end of the weekend, I'd have a couple sets of tires. They don't want to drag them off. The pros put 3 to 5 runs on them and go get new ones. So if you run a popular size, you can get by that way if you're a bucks down racer. You're just gonna, it's so much tire compared to the horsepower I had. They don't need to be brand new. So for the race 55, that takes a 1736-16 with plenty of room to spare. That's what it came with. That's an alcohol funny car tire. I didn't find those on sale, but I used to run. This is the same tire I ran on my orange Camaro, 1734-5-16. Brand new, if I can get the other one. I do have a pair of Mickey Thompsons that I bought 3 weeks ago. Same deal. They came FedEx, one tracking number, but they were banded together. So I hope Monday I get it straightened out, because there was only 2 of these available. So one or two things are going to happen. They're going to send me the other one, or they're going to get this one back. And I really want to keep it, but I don't need just one tire, and I don't want to pay $700 for the matching one right now, because let's face it, it's going to be a few years before I need them. On that same subject, it'll be a year ago this week. It was a year ago last week I bought the black 55 hardtop. And I've enjoyed that all year. I just re-registered it the other day, reinsured it and all that stuff for another year. It needs more work, but it's turnkey. I can take it out right now. I took it grocery shopping yesterday. The race 55 makes me happy every day. It's way beyond anything I could ever afford. If I ever woke up yet tomorrow and I had to build one from scratch, there's no way that this car would ever happen. So I feel blessed every day I have it. It's exactly what I wanted. I've had other cars that I started building before, but I was rebuilding, trying to make something it wasn't out of something it couldn't be. And this is more capable. Now I'm going the other way. I'm just trying to detune it to street it. But it's still going to be a very capable race car. So that excites me. And it has a VIN and an all-steel perfect body. I don't know if he priced out a Tri-5 Chevy body lately, but with no rust and all kinds of new parts and modifications. The quarter panel's been stretched. The roof's chopped. You can hardly tell, but anyway. It just makes me happy sitting there. And in the last year, well, it doesn't seem like I've accomplished a whole lot on it. I bought a new bender, a whole bunch of chrome moly tubing, practiced with that, and I'm at the point where I need to strip more of the car apart. To do that, I built a couple center sections for it. I bought all the pieces for the floater and the front brakes and parts. It takes me a long time to accumulate enough parts for one project, let alone multiple that I have going on. And that's just, I'm okay with that. It's the process. I love the process. You have to. So while the casual viewer may say, geez, I think I've been sitting there a year, you haven't done anything on it. Well, every day I do something on it, whether mentally or physically or financially. So that's that. For the ATK 6-liter, that's either going in my 49-ish Chevy pickup or the 56 wagon, haven't decided. But I have decided what intake to use. In fact, it's not even here yet. I bought a new one. I bought like a mid-rise, single plane, 4-barrel style manifold, but it has the holes for the injectors. And I bought fuel rails for it, and this style elbow, and just a generic 92 millimeter throttle body. I had an Elderbrock 90 millimeter throttle body that I could have, maybe should have used. And I have this elbow will take 102 millimeter, but this 92 is plenty for what I'm doing. I like that these, now the reason I did this is packaging in both, especially the 49 pickup. There's not a lot of room. The radiator's right in front of the engine. So if you put any style, typical LS manifold with the throttle bodies up by the water pump, things are getting tight. So this moves everything back. Same solution I had to do when I LS swapped the Dodge Dart 64 Dart. This gives you more room. Packaging is so much easier. Injectors are wide open. I like that the late model map sensor will bolt right there. Vacuum ports. It just simplifies the whole thing. And power-wise, I mean, you can watch any video you want and come up with any result you want, but basically this is on par. I mean, with the stock intakes, maybe slightly less, but around, high 6,000 RPM, all the manifolds take off from there. So let's just say you turn 6,500, your horsepower will be higher than the stock manifolds, but below that, drivability, who knows? Doesn't matter. This is what it's getting. Final answer. So when the manifold shows up this week and the fuel rails, I'll throw all that junk together, bolt it on the 6-liter, and that project's pretty much done. And then I swear, I'm gonna whip that 4L80E over here and swap the tail housing. And I got a plan for that video, so that's coming up, I swear. I was talking about drum brake kits last Saturday or Sunday when I did the 9-inch Ford video, the 58-inch wide rear axle that I'm building to go with the ATK 6-liter and the 4L80E and the 9-inch with 389 gears and a positive traction. I have a slightly used brake setup out in the box, but the bolt pattern is early big Ford with the 1/2-inch studs, and this rear end is new big Ford / Torino. So, online research after I made the video, I had guesstimated they'd gone up in dollars, and they had. They used to be $300 a set plus shipping, and now they were $350 a set. So I went ahead late at night and bought them on eBay. Every time I do this, because I didn't recognize that the seller was Quick Performance. I know every time I call Quick Performance on the phone, they end up saving me money. Even the flyer, these came out of Quick Performance, come to find out. And the flyer that just came with it says these are $300 a set, and I paid $350. My own mistake. I did this on a 9-inch Ford housing, third member, I don't know, a couple years ago. I saw it late at night, bought it on eBay, called them on Monday or Tuesday for something else and told the guy, geez, I just bought this on eBay, and he fixed it. He said, well, that hasn't been shipped yet, and I was buying a bunch of other stuff. That's how nice they are. They're awesome. I should have just called them in the beginning, but either way, here they are. They're multiple bolt pattern, I like that. The register is correct for my axles. All this information's on the website, and I already checked all that. You have to specify the bolt pattern. I like that it has 4.5, 4 3/4, and 5-on-5. Covers everything I'm gonna have. Nice brand new drums. Everything's brand new. Can't beat that. There's a left and a right wheel cylinder. So, doing inventory today, because I was excited that this weekend I'd take a couple hours and assemble the rear axle, then I'm going to paint the whole thing afterwards. I don't have, for the, because I just used them on my Nova, the retention plate. When this bolts on the end of the housing and you put the axle in, you have to have another plate that backs this up, that actually holds it in. So you have to have a retention plate. They come in various thicknesses, depending on how much stress you think is going to be on this. I just went with the standard car ones. They'll be here this week, so I didn't have that. And I went ahead. I was torn between taking the third back over here, setting it on the my holster, and drilling and tapping jacking bolts, because when you silicone in a 9-inch Ford third member and then decide you're going to pull it back out for whatever reason, that thing is one with the car. You can take all the bolts out of it and you could drive it, it seems. If you have a jacking bolt on either side, you just thread them, there's a lock nut, you loosen the lock nut, you thread the bolt in, it pushes the whole third member out. It's a worthwhile addition. And I was going to go ahead and do that, and then in another weak moment, I blew $25 on a lube locker gasket. I've never tried one. Allegedly reusable, not supposed to leak, no silicone. So we'll see. I'm going to go ahead and use the lube locker gasket. On a 9-inch Ford, there's 10 3/8 24 studs to mount the third member. There's supposed to be, you can use an AN washer, but I bought the actual brass washers. I think they're Raytech, but that goes under the lock nut. There's supposed to be a little washer there just because that's what Ford used. So I have those. I have the nuts, Nylock, grade 8, 3/8 24. I got the gasket coming, backing plates coming. I need to change the vent, and I'll show you all this when I actually do it. It has one of the breathers on it that's just it looks like a gold brain. If you ever look at a cartoon description of a brain, how it's all a bunch of humped up. Well, the thing points toward the sky, so if air can come out, liquid can go in. I don't want rain and stuff getting in my differential. I'm gonna remove that and put in the style that has a little top hat, so water won't find its way in my differential. And I also weld a 5/16 stud for my flexible hose and 2 1/4-inch bolts halfway down the tubes for my brake lines. So I do all that, assemble it, paint it. We're almost there. I love rear end projects. And while I was doing all this inventory, I found that other brake set, but I found I didn't have any early big Ford housing ends. So I need to build another rear end after this. So I found some early big Ford housing ends that take the seal and all the stuff that I talked about in the other video. So that's cool. They're on the way, and I found them for $65, which for a set of housing ends is pretty decent. For both the emergency brake cables and the flexible line, I buy a 3rd gen Nova. So pick 1970 Nova. I buy the flexible line, and I buy the emergency brake cables. Everything hooks up and works fantastic. Well, that's my Saturday night. The afternoon's activity, like I say, it's been an interesting day. It's mid-October. We have a boat at the marina. 2 boats. One I already brought home before the hurricane a few weeks ago. I could have brought it back and used it for a few more weeks, which would be the norm. It's nice after Labor Day. The lake traffic dies down. Days are still beautiful. There was people boating today. But today was move-out day out of the houseboat. So my wife and I went up this afternoon after lunch. It's only 25 minutes up the road. My son is at Boy Scout camp. We get there, we pull in, and not only is it out of the water, the houseboat, it is shrink wrapped already. We haven't even emptied out the refrigerator. And got all bed, everything you live on all summer, we were there to haul it home. Well, what do? Improvise, adapt, and overcome. Fortunately, they just were doing the shrink wrap yesterday, apparently, and there was a set of staging next to it. So we went into the office, and I said, I'm going to cut a little door, shimmy my way in, and that's what we did. And wife and I got our way inside. Thankfully, inside the boat, it was nice and cool. The shrink wrap is blue with the sun coming through it. You want to talk about messing with your eyes. Every color was wrong. Like there was some orange soda in the fridge. It was still cold, so they just took it out yesterday. We actually drank some, stuff. Still threw the food away, but there wasn't much in there that was worth keeping. But the orange crush can was brown, because I guess you mix blue and orange, you get brown. Because it messed with my eyes for like an hour. I was glad to get out of there. And again, we had to shimmy the entrance platforms over here, and the door into the houseboat's over here. Had to go down a human being doesn't fit straight. You kind of got to go sideways, and it was an adventure, but what are you going to do? Can't leave that stuff in there. So we managed to finish moving out on the hard, as they say. So anyway, it's getting dark. Let's call it a night. Hope you have a wonderful evening.